Hey, hello guys, this is Fede here again, back with another video. Today we're going to talk about, as the title says, the Sword of Kaigen, the Kaigenese Empire. Now, I've been wanting to talk about this book for, a long time because I finished this more than a week ago actually. But I just haven't had the time to do it, to record it. I just got a new job. I have two jobs. I want to do work from home, and the new job that I got is I'm teaching at a university here. So yeah, some art history and whatever. But yeah, that's keeping me busy a lot. And now that I have a few moments free, I mean today is my free day, so I was resting, and I said to myself, you know what? I want to talk about the Sword of Kaigen and what I thought about it. So yeah, let's just go ahead and talk a little bit. I have a few notes here. If you see me looking at this way, it's because I have my notes. And yeah, so by the way, this is obviously I saw this all over the internet, right? The Sword of Kaigen and the praise. But uh, there was recently a pretty cool edition that came out, physical edition. I mean, I read it on my good old Kindle, but I'm going to put an image here of the book itself. So yeah, this made me want to read the story because it was getting a lot of hype and all of that. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it. I think that will be better. So the book, The Sword of Kaigen, by Emil Wang. That's the writer, and I thought that was a man, but it's a woman. So yeah, it was published in 2019. However, since this book was self-published, it took some time for the book to reach the masses, thanks to Booktube, I believe. And but once it reached a wide audience, I was looking at 21, 2022. It received good reviews, as I was saying. Um, Almost everyone likes this book. So it's a fantasy book, although there are small flashes here of science fiction that don't really end up impacting the story in a major way. As far as the story goes, the Sword of Kaigen takes place in a fictional country, a Kaigen or Kaigen Empire, located on the continent of Namidugu. I think that's how it says. Historically, Kaigen's been the first line of defense when the Empire is attacked, right? For this reason, it is home to great warriors and ancient lines of master blacksmiths, particularly in the Kaigen area, are responsible for making the best weapons for the different houses. It is immediately inferred that Kaigen is a double face, a reflection of the feudal Japan. Now, the warriors dressed in large kimonos and strong katanas are imposing. The story centers on the son of one of these epic warriors, right? The teenage Mamoru Matsuda, son of the stoic Takeru Matsuda, right? Mamoru lives between his school obligation and his military training. He is the son of a epic warrior, so he does have training. This is where the fantasy of this world really comes in. Something that makes world building interesting, although not everything is perfect here in this book, and I'll mention that in a moment. The Matsuda bloodline of warriors has a peculiarity. They can control the water element. They are called warriors, right? Sentimentally and biologically speaking. The greatest achievement in all of Matsuda's life is to perfectly master the Whisper Blade, right? It's a technique, a nice sword created by the warrior in turn. Said warrior can sharpen this weapon down to the smallest molecule, right? Cutting through anything that stands between it, like butter. The protagonist Mamoru is training to do the same as his father in the future and continue the family tradition. The main conflict of the book arises from a small exchange uh, partner who arrives at the Mamoru school. This schoolmate tells him that not everything that the empire has been telling the Kaiganese people with the province is true, and the warriors may be unconsciously being used in a bad way. Um, as I mentioned earlier, not everything is perfect in this book. Sometimes unnecessary and irritating, and I consider that this will not have happened if the author had had a publishing house that provided some feedback. Uh, the use of time, right? There are hundreds of worlds in the fantasy genre, and most of them use general time measurements, which are basically what we use in daily lives and our daily lives. Sometimes novice authors try to add false depth to their world by trying to modify even the smallest details. These are the measurements, for example, of time used in this book. Words like second, minute, etc., are not in it, by the way. Dima, that's the equivalent to 0.43 seconds. Kawati, that's 36 minutes. Zira, that's 0.72 minutes. And Wati, that's 1 hour and 12 minutes. I mean, what is the real purpose of this? Besides unnecessarily confusing the reader. Uh, yeah, I didn't like that at all. Now, previously I mentioned that in addition to fantasy, there are flashes of science fiction here. Um, but I won't talk about those flashes here because I consider that maybe a small spoiler. So let's go to the fantasy elements here. In contemporary fantasy, it is rare to find a book that is a standalone like this. Modern writers always think of trilogies, sagas, novellas, tie-ins, or anything else they can think of to squeeze every penny out of their ideas. This is not the case here. The Sword of Kaigen is the only novel that takes place in this universe. The author confessed that she wanted to write more books and short novels, but she simply couldn't find the right way to expand the universe she created. So she really didn't have a good idea to continue with that. So she considered that she decided not to continue expanding the universe was the right decision. And something the reader should know is that the book, and this is important, reaches its climax right in the middle of the book, 50%. It reminded me of the first time I read Tolkien's The Return of the King, right? Where the final battle against Sauron is won, and you look at the book, and there are like still almost 200 pages left to read. It's strange, but not unheard of. The Sword of Kaigen does a good job of arranging all the pieces that could have been misplaced and gives us a good ending. I like the ending of this book. I think the strong point of this novel is its characters. The clear influence of Japan and its thousands of rituals for every little thing in everyday life make them more believable. The relationship between Mamoru's parents, Misaki Tusano, and Takeru Matsuda is important in the narrative. I really like that. An imperfect and unhappy marriage, which, although at first glance may seem unimportant, since we spend a good amount of time observing that relationship, ends up being essential to the resolution of the story that we are reading. Now, do I recommend this book? If you like the fantasy genre, and if you want a book that is not linked to any other book, I mean, this book is highly recommended for you. You don't have to read books before or after to enjoy this story. The story changes, as I said, drastically after the 50% mark, but I don't see it as a defect or a defect. I enjoy my time in this world, and I wish more contemporary authors had the courage to make just one book for the universe they created. A lesson we can all learn from the good old guy Gabriel Kay, right? All in all, I consider this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Um, I mean, it's just a good story. It's a good story condensed in one book, and as I said, you don't really see that anymore, and I like that about that book and that story. And yeah, it's a short read. I mean, I don't really know how many pages, how long it is, but it should be like 400 maybe. It's a decent size, but you can read it easily. I mean, but yeah, the Sword of Kaigen. I just wanted to get my what I thought about it out there. And yeah, just do a quick video recommendation in this case. All right, guys, have a good one.